So you're thinking of moving to Royal Oak, Michigan? In this video, I'm going to go over some pros and cons, the good and the bad of living in Royal Oak, Michigan. And if you stick around to the end, you'll see exactly why people love this area so much. And we're getting after it right now. If this is your first time to this channel and you want to know everything about living in Royal Oak, Michigan, then subscribe below and tap the bell for notifications so you can be the first to know about the current market in Royal Oak, Michigan. My name is Holly Amato with Keller Williams Realty. I get calls and emails every day from people just like you looking for help on making their move to Royal Oak, Michigan, and I absolutely love it. Whether you're moving in 9 days or 90 days, give me a call, shoot me a text, or send me an email. All the information is in the description below so I can help you make that smooth move to Royal Oak, Michigan. Royal Oak, Michigan is centrally located within about 16 to 20 minutes from downtown Detroit. And this is one of the greatest pros to living in Royal Oak, Michigan. You've got access to all major expressways, highways, so it really makes it easy to commute, which is something really important to people who aren't working from home right now. And if you go on citytistics.com, they give Royal Oak a 74 out of 100 on a livability rating, which is actually a really high marking from them. And there's just a ton of metrics online you can check into, like dwellix.com and great schools, and you can go to Royal Oak. They have their own search engines. They have their own informational sites that will show you what's going on in the city. And I think you'd agree that location is fabulous. And again, in real estate, what is it all about? Location, location, location. But again, it's that access to the main highways and able to get in and out of the city that people really love. And when you get a higher livability rating, when you're looking at metrics online, that's a huge perk or pro to living in Royal Oak, Michigan. So the second pro or perk to living in Royal Oak, Michigan would be the downtown area. Now, if this is your first time visiting my channel, I definitely want you to check out the community videos that I did on Royal Oak. I did a real estate one where we were looking at different price points, but I also did some community videos, and you will absolutely fall in love with this city. The downtown area itself has a ton of restaurants, shopping, small businesses. The walkability factor is huge, and it's again one of the biggest reasons why people love living in Royal Oak, because they're so close to that. They're loving the ability to be able to walk to downtown or just walk in general, walking to parks, walking to different venues. So newer to Royal Oak is their ice park. They do have an ice arena, which is separate, but they have an ice park now for the winter, of course. And it just opened up a few weeks back at the end of 2022. And so they're really big on events. And of course, living in Michigan, we have a long winter. So they always look for ways like bringing this ice park to keep people involved in the community, give them something to do so they're not just stuck in the house watching Netflix all day long, right? So the ice park is great. There's events in the summer like Arts Beats and Eats where they'll have local food trucks, and the arts, they set up different, they've got paintings, they've got sculptures, pretty much, and clothing, anything you can think of, medals. I love going to Arts Beats and Eats. And of course, the music is phenomenal. It's just a really fun day downtown in the area, and it's something that you don't want to miss, okay? They also have concerts. They'll just randomly have, a random concert going on, fairs. They've got a farmer's market, which is actually goes year round. And a lot of cities don't do a year round farmer's market just because of the weather here in Michigan. But every Saturday from 7 a.m. to 1 p.m., right across from the library on Troy, they have their farmer's market. And, I went online. There's a website website and a Facebook page just dedicated to this farmer's market. They don't just have fruits and vegetables. They've also got local seafood and just a fishery and just a lot of different vendors that they're constantly bringing different food items. Also in the same area, they've got an antiques market on Sundays from 8 to 3. If you are interested in comedy, which I love going to see comedic shows. Mark Ridley's Castle is a lot of fun, and they work really hard to bring in some big names. So you'll want to watch the schedule to check out who they have coming into Mark Ridley's. And last but certainly not least, Royal Oak Music Theater. Royal Oak Music Theater has a great event schedule as well as being a venue for weddings or other events. They also have a great online portal that you can check out and see what's on the docket for the schedule going on downtown in Royal Oak. Okay, so third pro to living in Royal Oak, Michigan. You know, we've already talked about the fact that location is so important to people, and Royal Oak is really centrally located with access to all the major highways and expressways, great for commuting. Something else that Royal Oak has is an Amtrak station. It's got a platform and a shelter, and it's just the train station right there, easy access. So again, just making commute and another method of travel possible for people living in the area who would like to take the train. Something else that's pretty cool, there are areas in Royal Oak that have on the roads a dedicated bike lane. Okay, this not only adds to huge safety issues, right? It's keeping a lot of people now love to bike, and it's, you know, I myself am someone who loves to go biking, and it's just a great opportunity for bikers to we're talking bicycles, to be safe on the road, and they have their own dedicated roads. And if you go online, there is a place where it shows the maps to where all those areas are, so that bikers who are looking for safety and just that exercise and just getting out there to cruise around town will know exactly where they can have their own dedicated lane. So that's really important. You know, when you're on the road, you want to have that safety and travel. And then it also gives, you know, people who are driving, I don't know about you, but when I'm driving and all of a sudden there's a biker nearby, I get super nervous, because obviously we want to protect them and we're worried. And so people who are driving their cars, just always be vigilant and make sure that you're paying attention so that you can notice if there's a bike lane and you're responsible and share the road properly. Okay, so the last major pro that I wanted to talk about to living in Royal Oak, Michigan, number 4, parks. So, you know, when they put the city together, I read a lot about the history behind Royal Oak. There are more than 50 recreation facilities, including urban plazas, mini parks, neighborhood parks, you know, parks that are in the neighborhood, community parks, which are larger, nature parks, which also have nature trails, and also there's a community center, a senior community center, and a golf course. Okay, so this is a lot of activity going on. They clearly saw the positive influence having parks. Not only does it beautify the area, just makes it look nicer, but it gives people an area to go, relax, do a picnic lunch, take the kids, you know, go for a walk on the nature areas and the nature trails. It really does add a lot to a community when you have parks and these type of community centers for people to enjoy. Also, a very large park, which is not really a park, is the Detroit Zoo. The Detroit Zoo is located in Royal Oak, and the zoo itself is fabulous. They have a great collection of animal exhibits, and they also have their own events. In the wintertime, I know they have the Zoo Boo, and they have lights, and there's constant activities going on. You can buy a membership package if you live in the area. People love to go to the zoo. It's just fun. Kids enjoy it. You know, everybody enjoys going to the zoo, right? So it's a great opportunity to check their website as well and check out what the zoo's doing on a regular basis to add to the perks of living in downtown Royal Oak. Okay, so this is the part of the video where I'm supposed to talk to you about the cons or the negatives to living in Royal Oak, Michigan. Gotta be honest, it was tough to come up with negatives. I talked to people who live there. I myself go to Royal Oak on a regular basis. I absolutely love it. So I went online to see what I could find. And I'll be honest with you, the only con that I could come up with is the fact that there's a lot of metered parking. Here's why I find that to be a con, especially in the wintertime when you're walking around and you have to go to a specific place and you can't get a spot that you'd like right in front, and you've got to find either a parking structure or a parking lot or a meter. Sometimes that can be a bit of a pain. And of course, it costs money, so it might hurt your pocketbook just a little bit if you're down in the city often and need to use the metered parking. Fun little story for you. And this is another reason why I don't love the metered parking. Friend and I were down there actually filming one of the videos in my community series, and we swiped the credit card, got the little green light, and we thought everything was fine, right? We were only there for maybe not even 20 minutes filming the last section of my video, and got in the car, left. Well, a couple weeks later, I got a $20 ticket in the mail because it said that I didn't pay the meter properly. So quite honestly, I've never had that happen before, and I have heard stories from other people who are experiencing the same thing. So I don't know if it's a glitch in their system, and let's give them the benefit of the doubt and assume that the city's going to look into that, because I think a lot of people are experiencing that. But that would be definitely a con if you are thinking that you're parking properly and you end up getting a ticket. So that's the only con I really had. So the second one, though, because again, I wanted to bring you something, didn't want this to just be a one-sided report and say everything's perfect. Nothing is perfect, right? So according to Dwellix.com, Royal Oak has what they call a low occupation diversity. So what this means is that they feel there isn't enough job opportunities in varied fields. Now, like I said, I've spent a lot of time down there, so I don't know if I completely agree with this, but I definitely wanted to report the findings to give you a cohesive overall view. But like I said before, I don't see a lot of cons with living in the city, and even metered parking can be looked at as a positive for some people. Again, it adds to, I guess, the income and the revenue that they're bringing in for the city. So they're making some money on it, right? So they can turn around and put that money back into providing great services and community events, a great library. They're constantly really working hard. I will say, all that I have seen is that they work really hard in Royal Oak to make it a great city for people to enjoy living. And I feel like if you talk to people who live there, I don't see any downsides personally. It's all a matter of opinion, right? Just like everything else. Okay, so couldn't end a video without talking to you about one more thing that I feel is neither a pro nor a con. Here's why. School ratings. So I went on citytistics.com, greatschools.org, and Dwellix, and they gave me like a mixed bag of results. So some of the elementary schools scored like 9 out of 10. A couple were like 5 out of 10. The high school on one of them had an 8 out of 10. Middle school had a 6 out of 10 on one of them, and on another one didn't really have a rating. So here's what I'd like to say about that. I feel like school ratings are very subjective. A lot of the time it's parents that are providing data, and they might have an issue with maybe one teacher, right? So they decide that, they're going to give a bad rating to the school, or they have a great experience with one teacher and they give the school a great rating. I don't know that the data is always completely accurate, meaning what does your child need? If you're a family and you've got kids in school, you may have kids that are special needs. So that's something that's specific to you, and you want to check out the programs that they have for your child and whatever their special need may be. Or you may have a gifted and talented child where they just kind of scored way off the charts, and you want to know if the school supports that. I was a teacher over like 20 years ago before I had my kids. So schooling is really important to me. I have a heart for it, a heart for teachers. I think it's one of the hardest jobs on the planet. But I will say that it's really important for you to tour the specific school that you think is going to fit your family's needs, and do your own research. talk to the principal, talk to the people in charge, take a look at their direct data, take a look at the scorings that they've had with some of the standardized testing. What percentage of the kids, what's the literacy rate when you're looking at high school graduation? How many of them are proficient in math? These are the kind of things that you can look at, but just remember, also look at how many kids are in the school. And when you're looking at public schools, they service everybody, which is a wonderful, huge blessing. Okay. So everybody's being served in the public schools. It's not just, quote, the brightest and best, right? And so there are also private school opportunities as well in Royal Oak. And with the private schools, sometimes parents who have special needs children opt to stay more in the public schools just because the public school seems to have more funding for those programs. So again, that's why I feel like when you're looking at a school's rating online, it's very subjective. Do your own research. For everything that I have seen online, Royal Oak looks like they have an amazing school system, and they are working really hard to make sure that everyone is educated fairly and properly, and making sure that kids are treated the way they should be treated and loved. So, of course, that's just my personal opinion, but always do your own research. I don't think that's either a pro or a con. I think that you get into it, you take a look at the schools, and you do your own assessment, because there's so many schools. There's private options, there's public school options. I think you're going to find something, if you have a family and school-age children, that will meet your needs in Royal Oak. So that pretty much gives you a great summary. We could go on and on for hours and hours of all the amazing things Royal Oak, Michigan offers. When we count up all the positives that are found in the downtown area with regard to shopping and restaurants and entertainment, not to mention all of the community events they have scheduled on a regular basis. If you have school-age kids, it's a great place to be. And the walkability of the city is something people move to Royal Oak to enjoy. Of course, with anything, there are a few downsides, but it was tough finding them in Royal Oak. For instance, we talk about that metered parking, and the walkability factor might not be so much fun when winter rolls around. I do hope this gives you a great overview of the pros and cons of living in Royal Oak area. And if I can be of further assistance in helping you make that smooth move to Royal Oak, Michigan, please give me a call, shoot me a text, or send me an email. And until next time, I hope to be able to show you around town.